What's up, Darcizzle Nation? In today's video, I show you how I caught all of these big, beautiful mutton snappers, how I clean them, and how we cook them. This is Mutton Snapper Catch and Cook.
Hey, what's up, Darcizzle Nation? Hope you guys are all doing great today. As Darcizzle said, we're going to do a catch, clean, and cook today. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me for this beginning portion of the video because fortunately Darcy had to go tend to her dad. He's not feeling that well, but if you pay attention or follow us on Twitter and patreon.com, of course, there'll be probably some more information, more updates on there about that because I know you all are concerned about Papa Tim and give him some good wishes and that'll be fine for right now, but we'll fill you in later. Anyway, we want to talk about catching mutton today. And again, Darcy's not here, so I'm going to go over actually how you catch the mutton and the rig. I thought that would be useful for you. You've seen Darcizzle catch a ton of muttons all the time, but I'm not sure how many times to go over this specific rig. The rig is the standard, what you might call a Carolina rig, or around here sometimes it's called a mutton rig. And I want to go over, especially because you can use this rig all the time. If you're drifting, offshore somewhere, you can catch bonitas with this, or kingfish, or anything. You can, again, drop it down to the bottom and catch any sort of bottom fish, muttons, grouper, yellowtail snapper. So it's a very versatile rig and one of the first rigs you should have in your arsenal when you're going to start going to saltwater fishing. I'll start off with the rod and reel combo that Darcy uses. We're sponsored by Maxell, and she's been using this Maxell Ocean Max 08 for years now. I'm sure you've seen it on the channel. It's you want to have a bit of power when you're dropping off the bottom or reeling up off the bottom, and she has that paired with a Maxell jigging rod. And rods are very personal. Depends on what you like. I like to have them a little bendy a lot just for the video, so the rod looks like it's bent over better for you guys. That's just a little secret. And on here we have 50-pound, oh, noisy, 50-pound tough line braid. We get all our braid from Tough Line, nice American-made company. And you can tie this rig directly to the braid, or you can a lot of people put on a length of mono initially, so that the weight will slide up and down, and I'll show you how that goes right now. So to start the rig, like I just mentioned, I got your main line. Either maybe you have a piece of mono on there, or maybe it's straight to the braid. And you want to use braid because it cuts through the water and it's going to go down to the bottom faster and help you on your drift. All right. So the first thing to put on is a weight. You're going to use an egg sinker. Depends on how deep you're going and what the current is. So I don't know how big an egg sinker you're going to need. Darcy likes to start off with an 8 a lot of times. All right. So got my egg sinker on there. Then you're going to put on a bead. All right. The little bead is going to protect the line and the barrel swivel you're about to put on from getting all chafed up. All right, so that's kind of a protectant. And then you're going to put on your barrel swivel. All right, and you can put that on. Oh, make a lot of noise over here. And you can put that on with a uni knot or polymer knot, cinch knot, whatever the heck you want to do. Uni knot right here. Always wet your knots before you pull them tight. So there you go. So now we got the basics of the rig. Now onto that barrel swivel that you just got the weight hanging off of there, we're going to use a fluorocarbon leader. We use Tsunami fluorocarbon leader, and the weight poundage of the leader, 20, 30, 40, 50, is really going to depend on what's going on in your area. Quite frankly, here in South Florida, around the Boynton Palm Beach area, the bottom bite's terrible. All right, we start off at 30 pounds to try and get that bite. Down the Keys, or if you're on a wreck, you might be starting off at 40 or 50, or if you're doing red snapper, you might be doing 100 because they're so dumb. But it just depends. And the leader is going to be as long as you can handle if you want to try and catch a mutton. Mutton, especially the big ones, are very leader shy, so if you can get that thing 20 or 30 feet like Darcy does without getting all tangled up and crazy, then you're going to be doing great. If you're down like 10 feet, you may not just catch those big ones, but again, use as long as you can handle. The professional guys, they're doing 30 or 40 feet. It's ridiculous. So you can have that long leader, and then we use circle hooks. All right, we use mustad inline circle hooks, kind of the same ones you might use for sail fishing. And again, that's going to depend on the size of your bait. Bigger hook is the bigger bait, and a smaller hook, obviously for smaller bait. And if you have a live bait, you really want to pay attention to the hook size so it swims naturally. You don't want to have a whole big old heavy hook on there. The fish just swims like this with a big old hook hanging out of his mouth, so that's no good. So you want to use a hook that matches the bait. What are you going to use for bait? You can use tons of things for bait. For dead bait, a lot of times you're going to go to the tackle shop and you're going to get a big box of sardines. That's fine. You can also use ballyhoo you'll have left over. Another great dead bait is dead goggle eyes that you didn't use the day before. Throw them in the freezer. You can fillet those up or cut them up or butterfly them or whatever you want to do and use those. So a lot of kinds of dead bait is really great. Squid kind of fall off your hook quite a bit, especially down there on the bottom with the bad fish. And Darcy prefers live bait. So if you can get a pilchard down there, some other small live bait, you're really going to do great. Now let me tell you how to hook the bait. I got a ballyhoo, for example, here. Now when you put this down, a ballyhoo is kind of long. You can cut this in half and make 2 pieces out of it actually, and you're going to want to cut off this tail so it doesn't, whether you use the whole thing or you cut it in half, you want to cut this tail off so it doesn't spin around in the water, all right? And then you're going to take your bait, and Darcy's going to show you this again a little bit later, where you take the hook and you're just gonna put it up through the chin like this. All right, you see that? Darcy, that's how Darcy likes to do it, so it pulls nice and straight. She doesn't like to do it through the nostril sideways because she thinks, you see that? Through the nostril sideways. She doesn't like that because she thinks this hook is gonna come around and get hooked like that, and it's gonna get all waggly. It's gonna get all messed up, all right? So that's how she does it. And again, same way with a sardine or any sort of dead bait, no problem. If the gills are flopping up, especially on a sardine, you can just rip those gills off too, okay? And it looks like a Terminator thing, which E-Money showed me. And just make sure it's not spinning, because that's not natural. I know you're all anxious to get back to Darcy, so let's do that. She's gonna give you a little advice on actually dropping the bait down. We'll see how that goes.
You want to go through both their lips like that, not sideways through the nose, because then it'll actually re-hook on the bait. You want this barb to be pointed out so any fish that eats it is going to get hooked himself. So that's the best way to do it with a live bait. Send them straight down to the bottom, and you're going to avoid that hook burying itself inside your bait. So the live bait, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let him swim out. He's all the way out, so it's fully extended. So that way my leader is not gonna wrap. I like to throw him out so it's like a straight leader line. Got my weight, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and drop it down controlled. You don't wanna drop it down too fast. You wanna free spool it, of course, but you wanna control it with your thumb. So that way, the weight doesn't fall faster than your fish, and your fish doesn't wrap around your main line going down. So it's like a little bit of a trick to doing that, but just controlled, nice and slow, moving all the way down to the bottom. And when you're using, ooh, I already feel him pulling. When you're using live bait, what I like to do is, my weight just hit bottom. What I like to do is lock up the drag, bring them up like one or two turns on your handle, and then just leave them there, because your live bait is going to do its own thing on the bottom, and you want your weight off the bottom so that way it doesn't interfere with anything, and the live bait is going to be presented naturally to the fish. And if I were using dead bait, I would actually try to keep my weight on the bottom as close as possible, kind of like drag it along as we drift. So that way the dead bait would be presented like on the bottom, almost like naturally like a dead bait. So you don't want it like up in the air, suspended fish, no. So it just depends on what you're using. Oh my gosh, I just got slammed. Come on. Boom! Back to back mutton snappers. And I'm giving you guys tricks and showing you guys what to do. And it actually worked this time. Boom. I found the mutton snapper honey hole, baby. That is a mutton snapper for this area. Oh my God, that's a 4 or 5 pound mutton snapper. Just pretty fish. We are definitely gonna do a mutton snapper catch and cook for you guys. I can't wait.
All right, that went super well. She caught that. That was one day she caught a ton of mutton. She was super excited. So let's get back to Darcy. You can't wait, and she's gonna clean that fish for you.
It's time for the clean portion of this video, and we've got our grizzly cooler here. This is our bigger size grizzly, and it's in the Amazon store if you're interested. But it's a really great price, and we were able to fit all of our fish in here that we caught, our five mahi and our mutton snappers. And I've already filleted a mahi and a mutton snapper for our YouTube live stream video, so that's why one of them is missing in here. But check out how beautiful those muttons look in here. Awesome. So pretty. So I'm going to get one of the muttons out, and we are definitely doing like a sick catch and cook. The cook portion. I can't wait. Can't wait to show you guys how beautiful these fillets look on these fish. So beautiful. Delicious. Maybe we'll do some ceviche. But this mutton snapper, I like to use Bubba Blade products to fillet my fish, in particularly the snapper. They have really tough fish scales on them to get through, and the Bubba Blade gets the job done. I've got my 10-inch sharpening steel here from Bubba Blade, and I've got my 6-inch Turkinator knife. I like to use this, but I'm not going to use this for the mutton snapper. The reason being is because it's a little bit of a short blade. This is a 9-inch tapered flex fillet knife, very flexible. I like a flexible knife when I'm filleting fish. Just gonna get a quick sharpen here with a sharpening steel. Want it nice and sharp. A sharp knife gets the job done. So you want to make sure it's very sharp. And also, a dull knife is very dangerous to work with. So you just want to make sure it's sharp as possible. And these products are in the Amazon store, like I said. Let me just spray off my knife really quick. Okay, here we go. I already have a lot of videos on how to fillet fish, and in particular I do have a how to fillet a mutton snapper video that you guys can check out. I'll link it down in the description below, so you can check that out and learn how to do it step by step. But I'm just going to go ahead and make my first initial cut, and see that knife just got right through, no problems. Sharp knife, you'll get it done so much faster. And then I'm just going to follow the backbone all the way down. Get through these tough fish scales. They are so awesome to eat. If you've never had mutton snapper, you gotta be sure to try it one day in a restaurant or something. They're so yummy. And if you didn't know, these fish get like 20 pounds. So can you imagine a 20-pound mutton like this? It'd be insane. Maybe one day I'll catch one, but I think my biggest so far is like 13 inches. So now I'm just using that flex of the knife here to really get in there and scoop up all that meat. You don't want to waste any of it. And then you got the middle spine bone here, and that's where the flex comes in too. Just go work your way around that. And then just get the rest of the fillet off here. Okay. And we gotta break some pin bones real quick. Alright, almost done with this side. This is looking so beautiful. The fillet is nice and thick and white. Really firm, awesome meat. There we go. I like to keep the rib bones intact on the fish, so that way you don't like expose the innards and like the stomach and all that stuff. You don't want any of that stuff on your fillet. That's a big no-no. So that's why I like to keep the rib bones on there. Some people like to fillet it off and then work with it once you have it on the skin here, but I just don't like to do it that way. So now with taking the skin off here, I like to separate it completely from the fish so I can work with it easier. I know some of you guys are going to tell me to keep it attached to the tail, but I just prefer not to do it that way. So with the same knife, I'm just going to go on the tail section here, make a little slice, and then just start to work it at a 45-degree angle once you make your slice. And then just hold it really close to you, up close to the edge of the table so you have leverage. And then just work your knife all the way down along the fillet. And then I keep my fingers really close to the knife as I go along, so I have leverage and I can control the fish and it doesn't slide all over the place, or control the fillet. And if you guys didn't know, I am left-handed, so this does look a little weird, I'm sure. Apologize. There we go. That is a beautiful mutton snapper fillet. Mutton snapper are so much fun to catch. I love them. And as you guys knew, I got so excited over the fish. So much fun catching these guys. And they does have a little bit of a bloodline here, not big like compared to a lot of other species of fish, so I just like to go ahead and cut out a little bit of it and leave the rest of the fillet intact. Tunas have like a massive bloodline, so it just depends on the species. So we got that little piece off right there. Flip it back over, and then we've got the pin bones that I broke right in here. You can actually kind of see them sticking out, and just a few right in the beginning of the fillet. So I just like to flip it over and see where I'm working and just follow it, just like cut it out, almost like you're like cutting along a dotted line or something. And then on the other side. There we go. That's your pin bone section. That is going away. And this fish is ready to eat. But look at that nice, thick, juicy mutton snapper fillet. Now it's time to go inside the house and cook up this delicious morsel. Back in the house, we have officially decided to make ceviche with our fresh mutton snapper fillets, and I've got a fillet laid out already, ready to go. And today, basically making the ceviche is you're not going to be using heat to cook the fish. You're going to be using citric acid, which is pretty cool. If you never heard of that, we're going to show you, of course. But first things first, we got to cut up our mutton snapper fillet. Check it out. This just came in, a brand new knife. I can't wait to use it. This is Bubba Blade's 8-inch chef knife. And I have their standard 8-inch chef knife in the red handle, which I love to use all the time, but I had to get this one, show it to you guys. Look how beautiful it looks. Look at the blade, high carbon stainless steel, beautiful knife. So I can't wait to break it in right now. on a mutton snapper fillet. And don't forget this nice sheath. But this is listed in the Amazon store, so if you do want to check that out, it's in the description directly below this video. Amazon store, all my favorite fishing products are there. So first things first, when you're making ceviche, and you can do it with a wide variety of different types of fish, it needs to be a firm type of fillet like this. Tuna is not going to really work too well for ceviche, but all kinds of snapper will. So when you do make it, you have to cut the bloodline out. That's very important because it's going to make it very, very fishy. So even though muttons don't have a whole lot of bloodline, you still want to get rid of it. You don't want that in your ceviche. So that's pretty good. I'm going to get this little piece of bloodline out. Also, you want to make sure you have no bones in it as well. That's very important. You don't want to be eating bones. And then what we're going to do with this fillet, now that we got the bones, we got the bloodline out, we're going to go ahead and cut it up into bite-sized pieces. They're all going to be uniform and very close to the same size, so that way they're going to cook like together and equally in the sauce, in the actual lime and lemon juice. So let's just go ahead and start cutting this guy into bite-sized cube pieces. It is now time to add the cooking process to it, a bunch of lemons and limes as well. And so we've already got that prepared here. If I need to add more, we will. But basically what we got to do now is we have to completely make sure that the fish is totally covered in lime and lemon juice, totally to the top, so that way they all cook evenly. Nothing can be sticking out. But what I'm going to do first is, before we add the lime, I'm going to use a fresh Florida orange. And I saw some people doing it online as well. I thought it would be good to try. You don't have to do this, of course. You can do it your own way. But I'm going to add a little bit of zest to it, orange zest. And then, that should be good. Then, I'm going to cut this orange in half right now. That's perfect. Cut it in half, and you can squeeze as much lemon as orange as you want in there, just to get a little bit of like a sugary sweet taste to it, just because the lemon is so bitter. So we're going to squeeze in some orange. We've got our little lemon squeezer here, lemon and lime squeezer. Stick it in there, and then when you start to squeeze these in, you don't want to have seeds in there, so you want to use some sort of a strainer so your seeds don't go into the mixture there. There we go. Okay, we just finished with the lemon and the limes and added a little bit more orange to the concoction here. And you can already see that it's already started the cooking process. It's already on the edges getting nice and white. And so we're just going to go ahead and stick it into the refrigerator. And you can also see how we had it level. The juice level is in line with the fish, so that way everything is coated properly and it's all going to cook equally at the same time. So I think I used like 8 or 9 lemons and limes, but it really just depends on how much ceviche you're going to make, and you're just going to have to judge it as you go along. So just make sure you buy a lot of lemon and limes if you ever do decide to make some. So got the top on now. It's going into the refrigerator for about 2 to 3 hours, and then we'll see you then, and we're going to add the rest of the ingredients to that. It's now about 4 hours later after sticking the mutton snapper in the fridge. So let's see how the cooking process is going, but I think it's pretty much done. Oh yeah, the fish is nice and white, and you can see plenty of juices in there still. So now the fun part begins. And we're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to our fish before we start adding our ingredients. But let me show you our ingredients that we're using. I got my brother Connor here helping me.
What's up,
back
everybody?
From the Marines.
I am
he
back.
is visiting.
I am.
And maybe you guys saw that live stream, but he was in our live stream video a couple days ago. And if you want to follow him on Instagram, Connor_Airhill, link down in the description below. He would appreciate the followers. But he's going to be helping me with chopping these ingredients because he used to be a sushi chef back in Gainesville. But the ingredients we're going to be using today, you can see them here. We've got onions, cilantro, orange and yellow bell peppers. Like you said, you can use whatever you guys want. We've got tomato and avocado, celery, and jalapeno. And we're probably going to use like half of that because we don't like a lot very hot flavors. So you can pick and choose what you want. If you don't like the celery, remove the celery. If you don't like the bell peppers, remove the bell peppers. So it's totally up to you guys, which is really cool about this recipe. Just mix in what you want. So we're going to cut them up really fine. So that way, basically, every time you take a bite of fish, you get a little bite of every single one of these ingredients along with it. So watch. We're going to go ahead and start cutting them really fine, really small, and then throwing them into the mixture. You ready, Connor?
Oh yeah.
So he's going to use the above blade chef's knife. I'm going to get my other chef's knife, and we're going to get to work. That ceviche is looking really good. I've already tasted it too, and it's delicious. But now the last step to do is, now it's totally full of veggies and all the good stuff in there. We have to add more juice to it. And the reason being is because the fish cooked in the juice that's currently in there, but you want to add some fresh lemon and lime juice to it to get a little more of an oomph when you eat it. And so we're going to bring up that water, that liquid level a little higher in the bowl, and then we should be good to go. So cutting them in half, and then I'm about to get a strainer and just strain some more lime juice in there, and then we should be ready to dig in. Time for the taste test of our homemade mutton snapper ceviche. Connor's already diving in. How do you like it?
It's freaking great.
Really good?
I recommend
it. All right, it's my time to try it. My turn to try it. Cut my finger with the bubble blade knife when I was chopping up veggies. Very sharp knives. Heads up.
She likes to put herself in work, you know? Literally.
That is really, really good. I can actually taste the tartness of the new lemons and limes that we just added to it, but it is awesome. And I can't believe we haven't done this earlier, making all these videos for you guys and trying this, and we catch fish all the time, so we gotta make ceviche more often. It is the bomb. I love it. And the coolest thing about it is that it's so easy, and you just pick and choose what ingredients you like or don't like. Super easy. Piece of cake. So guys, thank you so much for watching this Catch and Cook. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We always learn something new. We learned something new today. Cooking fish in citric acid is pretty cool. Maybe you guys can try it at home. And if you have, go ahead and comment below and let us know what your favorite homemade ceviche recipe is. Share the knowledge with everybody. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to eat lunch. I'm starving. This is so good. And until our next adventure, follow your dreams and keep on catching it.